Hey everybody, welcome back to The Stuff of Legend. My name is D-Lo and I've got another video for you today. I'm going to be talking about a very fun, very interesting topic that has sparked some debate online. We are talking about Sasha Banks, the legit boss, joining The Mandalorian Season 2. Now, this is big news for fans of WWE. I admittedly have not watched a whole lot of WWE. I used to have some video games for it, though. That was a lot of fun playing with my brother. I'm going to go ahead and cut over to my discussion page right now so that we can have this conversation. I am very, very excited. Let me go ahead and turn this on. There we go. So I'm right here. We are going to be discussing The Mandalorian Season 2, what we know so far, and what we have learned from a couple of articles. News broke, I think it was a little over 20 hours ago that this was happening. And since that time, it has been confirmed that it's true, because it started as a bit of a rumor, and it was just because the people that had shared that information let the cat out of the bag when I think they weren't supposed to, but by then it was too late. And so then they just said, you know what, it's building a lot of buzz, building a lot of hype, let's just go ahead and let it roll. And then they confirmed it. So but we're going to talk about that. Is it good? Is it bad? Does it get you excited? Are you looking forward to this? Let's go ahead and jump into this topic today. So I'm going to cut over here so you guys can see my screen. Now, what we're looking at here, if you guys are not familiar with Sasha Banks, first, before we jump into this article, which all of the things we're going to see today are linked down below, including a few of the Google searches, but we have here Sasha Banks, the boss. If you type that in on Google, this is what you're going to find. You're going to find Mercedes Justine Kaestner Varnado is an American professional wrestler. She signed to WWE, where she performed on the SmackDown brand under the ring name Sasha Banks. She's my age. She's 28. I'm actually 27, but she was born in January, and I was born in December of 92. So she's technically a year older than me, like 11 months. But either way, she's a child of 92. Full name, Mercedes Kaestner Varnado. She's 5'5", short, but she's also, a fun fact is she's related to Snoop Dogg. And he actually, I think it was when she went to, it might have been SmackDown for her debut. I think it was then. I'm not completely certain. I just saw a clip on YouTube, but Snoop Dogg actually wrapped her in as an intro, which was pretty sweet. So, and that's her uncle, which is hilarious. I think that's really, really funny. But either way, what's really cool is she is a champ. As you guys may know, if there's younger audiences that are watching and your wonderful imaginations are still rolling on this, you may want to plug your ears for like 3 seconds. Starting now, 1, 2, 3. Spoiler warning: WWE wrestling is acting. It's not real competitive wrestling, for those of you guys who couldn't have put that together. But for the rest of us, we do know that it is in fact acting, but it is acting that requires tremendous amounts of physicality, tremendous amounts of athleticism. You take an enormous physical beating. There's shows and movies out now about WWE and then professional wrestling, that type of extreme sport, as one might put it. But it does involve a great deal of acting, stage acting and camera acting, because you're acting on a platform 360 degrees around, not just a unidirectional performance. But on top of that, there's also cameras at every angle, so you have to be aware of all of this. And so these guys are very talented actors, some more so than others, obviously, and in their specific style of media on the stage, with cameras angling at certain ways you normally wouldn't get if you're like a television actor, or if you're a film actor. It's a little bit different on the WWE and in that sort of venue. That being said, they still do act, and you find a lot of actors come from WWE. Actually, I think a better way to put that is a lot of WWE superstars eventually make their way into acting in one capacity or another. Most of the time into action sets, because that's what they know, that's been their life. you find that to be true of many. Some obvious big names being Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who's been doing that for many, many years. Dave Bautista, in the last 10 years, has really hit TV and film big, especially with Guardians of the Galaxy being his like breakout role. And I'll talk more about that specifically in a minute. And John Cena being another name that's come out. He's been in a lot of films. Bumblebee, I thought he was pretty good in. I mean, at first in that film, a little shaky just on some of the scenes, but by the end of it, doing really, really well, holding his own. I thought it was pretty good. And so, and there was actually like changes in the way that he was acting from the beginning of the shooting to the end. And I think that Travis Knight, I believe that's the guy who did Bumblebee, he did really well directing John Cena. At least by the end of it, you could tell that he had improved, which was really interesting. Maybe not the result he was going for, but it was cool for me as someone who is a fan of John Cena to see him improve in that way. And I think a lot of that has to do with I think I might have clicked a button here. A lot of that has to do with direction of the director to be able to use their assets and their actors in the way that they're trying to tell their stories. So let's go ahead and take a look at Sasha Banks really quick. Her name again is Mercedes Justine Kaestner Vernado, and I'll show you guys a couple of images. I'm not going to linger on the images, but because basically, if you don't know who she is, she looks a bit Latina, like half Latina, half African, and I think that might actually be what she is. Very pretty lady, and you'll see like some of her wrestling. Like if we go Sasha the Boss, or wait, what is it? Sasha Banks the Boss highlights. You can find, I'm not going to click on these because I don't want to get like copyright whatever and blast it off of YouTube, but you can find them here. You know, you just simple search and you'll find some of her highlights if you haven't seen her. Like I had to do research because I didn't know who she was, doing that for you guys. But she also has an IMDb, and this is one thing to note, is that when you're an athlete, like say if you're like for instance Mike Piazza, you know, you're like a famous baseball catcher, you don't have an IMDb. You don't get an IMDb even though you're on TV every single week, sometimes multiple times a week. You don't get an IMDb because you're not getting credit for that. You're not an actor, you're an athlete performer. Now, the interesting thing about like WrestleMania, Raw, WWE, all of it, NXT, you find the convergence of both. These guys are extremely talented, ridiculous level athletes that perform ridiculously athletic stunts and feats in their performance. It's part of their performance, but it is a performance. It is scripted. There are certain things they have to do. I mean, like they know the outcome of what's going to happen before it's happening, sometimes during, as it's happening. And it is in fact acting. And so it's a little different medium. It's a little more theatrical. It's bigger. It's larger than life, but it's designed to be that way for what it is. And so you'll find that she has an IMDb for her entire career, which goes to show you that it's not just, I'm not trying to prove that it's like, you know, like in case you didn't know, it's acting. I'm trying to show you that yes, they actually do get, it's acting to the degree that they get credit for it on IMDb. Unlike regular athletes. So, that being said, her in Mando, I think is something that's very, very fascinating because, Sasha Banks is, physically small, but fit, strong, and very, very athletically capable. I don't see any way that Jon Favreau isn't looking to use her in some sort of physically demanding role. I think he's going to play to her strengths because that's the kind of director that he is. He's clearly hiring outside the box. If he wanted to have her be just like a dancer Twi'lek in like Jabba's palace, for instance, he could have gotten anyone to do that role, but he didn't. He got someone he thought was best for the role. So like, for instance, IG-11, Taika Waititi was already going to be directing. It was convenient to have someone that was already going to be on set be there in a vocal role. But he's also really, really good at doing voices. He's also really good like with voiceover, with motion capture, all of that. So he's already familiar for that and very highly qualified for it. He's one of the big names right now for that. So it does make sense, and it not just is convenient, but it's also a good call, and it makes sense. That's the kind of person that Jon Favreau is as a director. And with Sasha Banks, I think he's going to play it like Gina Carano. Gina Carano came out of MMA, and she came out of Strikeforce, and she'd been trying to get her acting career off the ground after she had retired from fighting. But she's still doing stunt film, stunt work. She'd done something with Scott Adkins, I believe. She'd done a few other things, like one movie with Michael Fassbender, which was really savage. And she's known for having some killer fight scenes because she's a beast. And that's exactly what Jon Favreau used her for. Kept the lines down to kind of a bare minimum, but she still pulled through, and he worked with her. He's a great director. He knows how to play to her strengths and help his people get the job done he's trying to get done. Very good at that. And I think that's what he's going to do with Sasha Banks. So I'm actually not worried at all because I think Sasha's in good hands. And if it looks like it's not going to work, I think Jon Favreau will be willing to tweak and adjust. Now, the good news is we also know that Sasha Banks' involvement with Mandalorian Season 2 is already finished. And they've confirmed that Mandalorian Season 2 is already done shooting. So that doesn't mean that it's ready for Disney Plus because they have to do post-production, editing, get it all the audio mixed, music. They've got to finish all the special effects and the CGI and all of that. So there's still plenty to be done. And then you have to prep the marketing so that that campaign can go out and blast out, draw in a lot more subscribers to Disney Plus and get back the people that unsubscribed after Season 1 ended. So all of that has to happen before October when Season 2 drops. So which is pretty cool. When Season 1 was done, they said it was going to be again in December. Then they moved it to November, and now they moved it to October. So, I mean, I don't think they're going to go any sooner than that because it does take a while to get post-production done. But we're looking at an October release for Mandalorian Season 2, and I'm really excited about that. So that's very good. But Sasha Banks, I mean, I want to hear from you guys in the comments. We're not done with this conversation because there's plenty more to talk about, but I just wanted to ask, what do you guys think about Sasha Banks' involvement? Do you guys like that they're getting someone from the WWE, a superstar, a champion from that program, from that that whole world to do whatever the role is here in the Mandalorian Season 2? Or do you think no, this is a bad idea? He should be getting talent. He should be getting acting talent. He should be getting someone from the world of Hollywood. He should be getting someone that is a seasoned acting veteran. And let me know who you, and obviously we don't even know what the role is, so we can't really say, oh, this person would be good for this role. We just know the casting. We don't know what they are casting for. So it's a little bit odd. But let me know if you think it's a good idea. Do you trust Jon Favreau with this? Do you think it's not a matter of Jon Favreau's trust? Or you just don't think that she'll be good enough for the role? Let me know what you have to say about that. But now I want to talk to you guys. If you are one of the people that has been saying, I don't think this is a good idea, well, I want to talk with you. And I want to know why. Tell me in the comments. Leave a comment on the live chat so that I can communicate with you there. But also, let's go ahead and take a look at something. I want to show you guys some examples of either fighters, like from MMA, UFC, like Gina Carano's world, where they came from that world into acting. And then also other examples of people that went from WWE into the world of acting in film and television outside of WrestleMania and WWE Raw and that kind of thing. I want to talk with those. Talk with you guys about those as well, because I think it is good to give people a fair shake. Give someone a chance to prove themselves. And even in the case of Gina Carano, she'd already proved herself as a good stunt actress. She needed a chance to act, and people weren't giving it to her. So Jon Favreau said, you know what? I got you. Let's do this. And I'll show the world that you're a good actress given the right material. If you know what you're going for, if you can really sink your teeth into it, I think this will be good. And so she proved herself. She did really, really well. And so let's go ahead and take a look at some of these, okay? So first, I wanted to scroll up and just show you guys some of this stuff. They started over here at number 10. So as far as MMA fighters go, like actual fighters, not WWE super athletes, but we're talking about fighters, MMA fighters. Chuck Liddell. He's been in several films. He's been in Dancing with the Stars. If I'm not mistaken, it was also he was also in Hawaii Five-0 and Kick-Ass 2. A few other things as well. But we also have people like Anderson Silva, who did a few other what was it? I think it was a show called Hell's Chain, and films like Never Surrender and Tapped Out. A couple of others other than that, but a lot of these guys end up transitioning because once they get to the age of kind of like, I can't keep up with the 20-year-olds. You get into your late 30s. You're starting to slow down physically. You're just not able to keep up. Or if you've experienced some really, really devastating injuries like Anderson Silva had, he literally had his legs shattered to eggshells, which was one of the roughest things to watch in MMA or in UFC history. Very difficult to look at, that injury was. But he ended up finding a way to get his career maintained and keep going. He was on a show on Netflix called The Beastmaster, where he represented Brazil, I believe. It was kind of like an Olympics, but for Ninja Warrior type stuff. And it was really, really cool. I liked seeing him there. Also, Bob Sapp, making it into the Adam Sandler prison remake, The Longest Yard, and Big Stan as well. So it's as well as the uncharacteristically watchable Rob Schneider prison comedy Big Stan. Yeah, so he's been in a few comedies as well, which is interesting. You get not just someone playing like either a henchman, a thug, a military guy, security guard. That's what a lot of these guys typically transition to out of the gate because it doesn't require like a lot of lines. But he actually transitioned into a comedic role, which was really fun to see. You also get Kung Lee, of course. Kung Lee is going to be in the he played martial law in the big screen adaptation of Tekken, and he's got a lot going on for him, especially in the world of martial arts films, like working with Jean-Claude Van Damme. I think he even did a film with Scott Adkins, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to double check that, but I think he also did one with Donnie Yen. And so we also have, this one was one of my favorites. George St. Pierre played Batroc the Leaper in Captain America Civil War. If you guys don't remember, in the opening sequence of Captain America Civil War on that ship, which ended up being hijacked by Hydra, but it was S.H.I.E.L.D. itself. Sorry, guys. It was a pretty sweet fight scene between GSP and Chris Evans as Captain America, and it was actually quite accurate. It was shocking to find how accurate they were able to do to the comics for Batroc. They gave him a purple suit. It wasn't exact. I mean, it was much more tactical than Batroc has been in the comics. He's got this funky French, like, twisty mustache. Very he's got that like crummy SpongeBob French accent that's like 3 hours later. Like that kind of voice. And I really liked seeing the MCU's version of Batroc the Leaper, and I would actually love to see him again if they are willing to do that one more time. Put him in Spider-Man. He's had tons of run-ins with Spider-Man in the comics and animated series as well. Batroc the Leaper is kind of like a staple villain that's always found everywhere. So it would be really cool to see him again. We also have Quentin Jackson. So Quentin Rampage Jackson played B.A. Baracus in the A-Team. And I remember when that happened, I was like, oh my gosh, this is super cool, because I'd just seen a fight of his. I don't remember exactly who he was fighting, but he won, if I'm not mistaken. And then he won, and then I saw a trailer for his film. I was like, wait a minute, what? I was like, dude, that's so cool. Because I don't follow a lot of sports, but from time to time I'll visit like a friend, and they're like, hey, we got the fight going on. I'll be like, all right, let's watch, because I love that. I love fighting. That's just a fact. And so then, pretty cool. Also, Oleg Tech. I'm gonna jet through these because this isn't a I don't need to get super detailed with these here, but just to show you guys that there are plenty of fighters that transition from either MMA to acting, like Gina Carano did in season 1 of Mando. Not that was her first rodeo, but also from WWE. So then we have Oleg Taktarov. We have Ronda Rousey, of course. We have Randy Couture. And then Gina Carano, who is also in Deadpool, by the way, which was a really good role for her. We also then have, in the WWE section, we have Dwayne Johnson, who you guys know, he's got films coming out, like 2-3 of them every single year. He's got Rampage, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, Fast and Furious 6, Journey to the Mystery Island, Ballers, Moana, G.I. Joe Retaliation, Baywatch, among many, many others. Dave Bautista has Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers Infinity War, Hotel Artemis, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Blade Runner 2049. Roddy Piper, They Live. Hell Comes to Frogtown, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. John Cena has Trainwreck, The Marine, 12 Rounds, Sisters, Blockers, Dallas and Robo, Daddy's Home 2, and Bumblebee. Then we also have, let me see, Jesse Ventura from Predator, Batman and Robin, The Running Man, Demolition Man, and Major League 2. We have Andre the Giant, The Princess Bride, The $6 Million Man, Mickey and Maude, Trading Mom, and Zorro from 1991. Stone Cold Steve Austin from The Condemned, The Expendables, The Longest Yard, Tactical Force, Grown Ups 2. We have Randy Savage. This one's my favorite. Randy Savage is from Spider-Man 2002. Bonesaw is ready. He does that whole like thing, and he's like, "That's a cute outfit. Did your boyfriend give it?" Or he says, "Did your husband give it to you?" I freaking love that scene. That was so great. And then he was also in Bolt, Ready to Rumble, and Mad About You. We have Stacy Keibler from Bubble Boy, The Comebacks, How I Met Your Mother, A Drop of Love, Men at Work. I forgot she was in How I Met Your Mother. That was a really cool one. Kevin Nash was in Magic Mike XXL, The Longest Yard, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, and Living the Dream. There's also Hulk Hogan, of course, from No Holds Barred, Rocky 3, Suburban Commando, Gremlins 2, The New Batch, and China, Illinois. And then we also have Big Show, The Waterboy, Jingle All the Way, MacGruber, Swerved, Vendetta. We also have Bill Goldberg, The Longest Yard, Universal Soldier, The Return, Santa's Sleigh, Ready to Rumble, and The Goldbergs. We have Edge from Haven, The Flash, Sanctuary, Clash Time, and Vikings. We have Triple H from Blade Trinity, The Chaperone, Pacific Blue, Breaking Ground, NXT Arrival. We have Diamond Dallas Page from The Devil's Rejects, Hood of Horror, Driftwood, 'Twas the Smackdown Before Christmas, which is an epic name, and Sensory Perception. Randy Couture from The Expendables 3, 2, and 1, Big Stan, Hawaii Five-0, and The Scorpion King, Rise of a Warrior. Lenny Montoya from The Godfather, The Jerk, Fingers, The Blood Song, Pandemonium, Magnum P.I. Tyler Mane, this one was cool. Tyler Mane from X-Men. He was the guy that played Sabretooth. You guys remember him? It's Tyler Mane right here. See? And for the record, I think he was a great casting for that role. But Simon, what was it? I'm forgetting his name. Was it Simon? Not Simon Kinberg. Is it Simon Kinberg? No. I'm forgetting who was the director of those X-Men films. But the bottom line was, the characters were not written well. Those were Wolverine films. They had very, very little to do with the X-Men themselves and everything to do with Wolverine. So characters like Cyclops got the shaft. Storm got the shaft. A lot of the villains got the shaft. It was basically Wolverine and Professor X versus Magneto. And everybody else was just a side character or a plot device for Wolverine. So that was very frustrating for me as a fan of the X-Men before Wolverine, So that was frustrating. I really do think that Tyler Mane was a great choice for Sabretooth, but Sabretooth was written like a clunky, dumb idiot. And Sabretooth is one of the most cunning villains in the Marvel Universe. So they really, really dropped the ball on the story for that one. And again, another villain that was actually traditionally quite awful that actually became sort of cool was Toad, played by Ray Park, who is Darth Maul. So that was another good cast that was kind of wasted. But either way. So then from Tyler Mane, we have The Undertaker from Suburban Commando and Clash Time. We have John Morrison from Boone the Bounty Hunter, Hercules Reborn, Strange Nature, 20 Feet Below, The Darkness Descending. Eve Torres from Supergirl, Matador, Skip Trace, and Clash Time. Maria Kanellis from The Opposite Sex, The Getter, House of Hardcore 2. Nathan Jones from Mad Max Fury Road, The Protector, The Condemned, Conan the Barbarian, and Fearless. Nikki Bella from Psych and Confessions of a Womanizer. And so that's quite a bit. I mean, I don't know that that's all of them, because I think there was there's like a really, really tall dude that was in the Sherlock Holmes movie with Robert Downey Jr. And I'm pretty sure he was also a professional wrestler as well. Let me see if I can find it. Tallest actors in Hollywood. I spelled that wrong. Let me see if I can find it. No. This guy. This is the guy. So I'm pretty sure he was also a WWE guy. Robert Maillet. Let me see if I can find it. Robert Maillet, WWE. Yep, that looks pretty legit. So he was there too. They didn't have him on the list, but he's been in a lot of things. So I think it's always difficult for some of these guys because they're clearly going to be typecast, very, very clearly. But some of them learn how to lean into that really well. Like, for instance, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson just embraced it. And if he couldn't break out of a typecast, or if people were just like, I don't believe in you, he started his own production company and started funding his own films. So there's a way to do that where you can eventually just keep that ball rolling. But I'm really glad, actually, not just because I want people to, I do want people to succeed and get a chance to prove themselves. But in the case of Sasha Banks, she is one of the most talented in the industry today. And I think that she will work really well with Jon Favreau, who did the same thing for Gina Carano. So it's going to be really cool to see what that is. Now, the fun discussion remains here. Who is Sasha Banks going to play? So a lot of the characters in Mando are completely original. Many of them have some sort of history tie-in to previous storylines, like Moff Gideon, for instance. There's a few others that exist that have existed before, but lots of them we're seeing for the first time, and that's what's really, really fun about The Mandalorian, is that they're quite original. But I want to hear what you guys have to say about who you think Sasha Banks is going to be. I have a few ideas, and I think that I know what she's going to be, down to two different things, but I have a few more options. So things that I think she is or could be. Number one, I think that she could be a bounty hunter. She could be humanoid because she does have a very pretty face. So I think that they'll probably allow her face to be seen in some capacity. Maybe she'll have some sort of like half or quarter visor mask thing. I don't know how they'll like equip her if she's going to be a bounty hunter, but she'll probably very likely be an original. I don't think she'll be a bounty hunter we've seen before. I don't think she'll be anyone from the original trilogy either. I think she's going to be, if she's a bounty hunter, it's going to be an original one from the Bounty Hunters Guild that previously had beef with her, with Mando. So that's the first thing I think she'll be, but not the most likely. The next thing I think that she could be is potentially a Night Sister. So I think that she could end up being a Night Sister. They may end up doing like some sort of a bald cap or something to like make her look kind of like Asajj Ventress, but she'll be I think a new one. Maybe they'll do the headdress like they had for the Night Sister in Jedi Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, the video game. It would be really interesting to see if they end up going back to what was it, Dathomir? I can't remember the name of that place. I thought it was Dathomir, the red planet, but it would be really cool. So she could end up being someone like a Night Sister, because I really think that with Mando season 2, it's going to be a lot of off-world exploring, and a lot of the planets, they will have a storyline. It will have a sequence that takes him to these different places involving the creature we all know and love as Baby Yoda, but is really just called the Child. The Child needs to find its home, and Mando has to help it do that. Or he could say, screw it, I'm raising this thing, and he's going to become a Mandalorian because he's part of the Mud Clan, the Mudhorn clan. And so that I think is what the storyline is going to be, because that's where they left us off in the first one. He may end up exploring more of the Mandalorian history and lore as Moff Gideon is trying to track him down and kill him. And then obviously he's going to want to vindicate his fallen brothers. So it's pretty crazy. I think this has potential, but again, I don't think being a Night Sister is the most likely either. So first we have a bounty hunter, which is pretty generic, pretty general, but again, we don't know anything about season 2 just yet. Number 2, well, we do, but not yet. So number 2, I think could be a Night Sister. They might end up going to see that planet. It could be very dark, very like sinister. And she might not have to wear like a bald cap. They could just have her in a headdress. And so we we'll find out. Number 3, I think that given the general face shape, she does seem like someone that could potentially play an adult Ahsoka Tano. I don't think, and hear me out on this. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt for those of you guys who don't think that she is a good idea for Mando, for the Mandalorian season 2, on account of her entire career has been WWE based and not television and film acting. But if she is, I still trust Jon Favreau, and we can wait and see. But a possibility is that she might actually be Ahsoka Tano, and we might actually get to see a live-action adult Ahsoka Tano, being that Jon Favreau is a fan of Ahsoka Tano, and Dave Filoni, the co-writer of the series, is the creator of Ahsoka, and almost every project he does has her in it or her fingerprints on it. So I think it would be really interesting to see her play, and I would actually not be opposed to her playing Ahsoka either. Ahsoka's not particularly tall. In Rebels, she does seem a little bit taller. She's about the same height as Hera Syndulla, but Hera didn't seem all that tall either. It's an animated series, so there's not a lot to gauge it on, but I would bet probably between 5'6" and 5'8" or 9 at most for Hera Syndulla, and Ahsoka being the same height, not accounting for the tassels that go up. I think that a 5'5" actress in heels with camera tricks could do that as well, could pull that off. So that's another option. Not likely, but a possibility. That would be crazy cool to see. So, and again, I don't think that's the most likely. So though I just gave you 3 things: bounty hunter, Night Sister, Ahsoka Tano specifically, and another one that could be the case for Sasha Banks could be, and these are my last 2. I've got 2 more. One, I think she could be a Twi'lek or a Twi'lek, depending on how you pronounce it. But I'm not sure which one is the true pronunciation. I've been told that it's Twi'lek, but I seem to recall it being Twi'lek, so I could be wrong. Please correct me in the comments. I think she could end up being a Twi'lek, like the one that was on the mission with Mando and Mayfeld and Zero and the Deveronian and all those guys in episode 6 of The Mandalorian, the jailbreak, but a different one. And I think she could end up being, instead of green, she could be, instead of blue, she could be a pink one. She could be there's different colors for the Twi'leks, however. She could end up being one of those, maybe in like a hut palace or something, because the huts are still in the Outer Rim space. And there is hut space as well. I would be really interested to see that as well. The last and most likely thing, because again, Twi'lek, that doesn't say who she is, because that's just a species. It doesn't say, like, is she a good guy? Is she a bad guy? Is she going to help them out somehow? Where are they going to find her? That doesn't say anything. But one thing that I do think will have context for story, and I do think is the most likely, and hear me out here, will be that she's going to end up being a female Gamorrean. The reason I say this is because Jon Favreau, as I've said in a previous video, had tweeted out season 2 of The Mandalorian coming fall 2020, and here was the only image that we were shown from Jon Favreau regarding season 2. It was a Gamorrean, but not a Gamorrean guard. A Gamorrean guard is a Gamorrean who is employed for Jabba the Hutt, or a Hutt, as a guard on his premises in his palace, to keep intruders out like Luke Skywalker, which they failed to do. Those ones, you'll notice, were fat. They were obese, and like their jaws, their chins were like out to here, their guts were way out to here. This is a very slender, pretty ripped Gamorrean we're seeing here, but it is a Gamorrean. And he looks kind of like primal, a pretty casual wear. He's not wearing armor like you saw in Jabba's palace. He's wearing his sandals, kind of like a loin guard, and the wrists as well with spikes, and it looks quite tribal. I think we're going to see the Mandalorian wind up on the home planet of Gamor, which we've never seen before in any media, not in the Clone Wars, not in Rebels, none of it. We've never seen it. And it had been discussed in a book in the Legends lore before, but all we know of them is that they are a matriarchal society run in clan systems. So on the planet, they're not run by one leader. They're all kind of like regionally, clan by clan by clan. They have a female that is the lead of the tribe. She picks the greatest warrior to be her husband, and he becomes kind of like the next in line after her. And the women do a lot of the like the leadership in the towns and in the tribes, and the men do a lot of the war making and the hunting. So they're the ones that are like the strong. The females are the more intelligent of the two, but they don't have a lot of tech. They're very primal. And this would also lend to what some of Sasha's strengths are. She is very pretty, but she's very familiar with rough, tough, tumbling, highly athletic, like combat heavy roles, which is her entire IMDb. I think that she'll end up being a female Gamorrean because that role would have to be very rough and tough. Mando might even pop in and find her, and she's over here kind of looking more like the Warcraft 3 film. You know what I'm talking about? Like she's gonna look like Warcraft over here. Garona from Warcraft. I think it'll be something similar to this, and the males are obviously gonna look like Gamorrean guards, like these guys. Let me see if I can get a broader picture of that. You guys see that? Fortunately, I don't think I have the ability to zoom on this one. But that's more or less what I'm thinking is going to happen. They're going to go to Gamor, a homeworld that will be very much like the Warcraft film, I personally believe. I could be very wrong about this. But based on the only image we're getting from Jon Favreau's Twitter so far, and it's been confirmed they've already wrapped shooting. So he was already well into shooting for season 2, and this was the image he chose to do. I think there's going to be a big tie-in here, plus with the supposed leak / reveal of Sasha Banks joining Mando season 2, I do think we're gonna find her kind of looking a little bit more like this Warcraft film with Garona. I lost the image here of her. This one. You guys have seen her, so I think it'll end up looking like this. Mando right there on the left with the gangster armor, and then we've got Garona over here on the right, and it's gonna be really cool to see. I hope that she does end up playing a role like that. Would be so fun. And it would be hilarious too that you get an actress that is very, very pretty, and then you like cover her up in makeup and do that. They did that with the chick that played the Twi'lek in episode 6, the jailbreak of Mando season 1. They did the same thing there, which is really, really funny. They have Emily, I think it's Emily Swallow, Emily Rock. I don't remember what the name is for Mando right here. Yeah, Emily Swallow. Emily Swallow, the armorer. They did the same thing with Emily Swallow. They got a very pretty lady, talented actress, and just just made her a savage. So like I don't think that Jon Favreau's gonna be shy about doing that kind of thing. But he also knows that a very primitive race like the Gamorreans are probably very grapple heavy. They don't use blasters very often. This is what we know from the lore, from the legends, and we know that they consulted with George Lucas to put together The Mandalorian because it was important that it was honoring the source material that they all grew up in love, which is Jon Favreau's a huge Legends nerd. So is Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni was involved with the creation of the Star Wars universe. And now Jon Favreau is as well, but he's very cautious to go back. There's funny memes out now on Star Wars meme pages about Dave. It's Jon Favreau here, sitting here, and Dave Filoni here, and behind them is Kathleen Kennedy, like looking like this, and next to both of them is George Lucas, and they're making The Mandalorian, and it's just like funny how, it was just like a funny image because George wasn't consulted on any of the other Star Wars projects, just Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's project, The Mandalorian, which was their baby they've been working on since the Clone Wars and Rebels. So really, really good stuff. I'm excited. That's my top 5 possibilities for Sasha Banks about who I think she's going to play. It's either going to be, in my opinion, some sort of humanoid bounty hunter, maybe a Night Sister. It could be Ahsoka Tano herself. It could be some sort of Twi'lek character again, because that's very classic Star Wars. And it would be cool to see another one of those. They're littered throughout the galaxy. And then also the thing I think is most likely with the most amount of, I think, evidence, which makes the most sense, is she'll play a female Gamorrean, which is something we've never, ever seen. I'm really excited. So let me jump over and take a couple comments. Let me see. I've got my buddy, Dustin Weeby. He's over here. He's got a question for me. He says, the great Carell was the tallest wrestler movie actor. I'll have to look that guy up. Let me see if I can find. I'll let me pull up a new page. I'll do this one right here. The great Carell. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember him. He was in Get Smart. Yeah. Oh my gosh. He delivered one of the funniest lines to me that I still laugh about today when I think about it. Steve Carell in Get Smart was on the plane, and he shows up in the back of the plane with a turban. He is one of the bad guys, but then he's like, oh my gosh, did you see that guy? That guy's got a huge, or he's like, that's a bad guy. That's a really bad guy. Did you see his face? He's like one of the Easter Island heads. And then she looks at him like, oh, come on. He can't be a bad guy or something. And he's like, nope, you know what? That's profiling, and I will have none of it. And it was just a really funny moment on Get Smart. If you haven't seen Get Smart, the movie, you got to watch it. It's really, really good. And the great Carell is in it. I didn't know that was his name. So thank you, Dusty. Next we have, Dusty says, have her play Lithan Twi'lek, Darth Talon, or something like her. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Those would be really, really good. What is the timeline on Darth Talon though? Darth Talon timeline. 137 ABY. Is that it? How old is Darth Talon? Because, yeah, I agree. That would be a really good role for her. Darth Talon was a female Lethon Twi'lek who became a Sith Lady in the draft at 137 ABY. 137 ABY is way past the Mandalorian's timeline, I believe. So, yeah, I'm not sure that's... unless she's really, really old, I think that that may not be an option, because I think where we leave off with the Mandalorian is probably, it starts at 5 years after Return of the Jedi, 5 years after that, and then it continues on probably the span of, I think, a year, possibly. So it could have been a whole year from the beginning to the end of the season. So they don't clarify that timeline, but I'm imagining that's probably what it was. Given the amount of travel they had to do, staying for weeks and months on a planet and then going to another place, having to do jobs, it could have been quite a while. At the least, it took a month, I think. Least a month, most a year, probably. So hard to reconcile that timeline unless they come out and just say it, because that would actually be really cool. I'm going to tweet Jon Favreau and we'll see if I'm important enough to get an answer. I probably not, but maybe if enough of us ask. So tweet Jon Favreau and ask him about that timeline. Yeah, so that'd be really cool. I hope that she does get a really cool role like this, like something that might recur. I mean, it doesn't have to recur, but it would be really, really cool to see her there. And forevermore, she will be IMDb credited in Star Wars The Mandalorian. So I think that'll do really well for her. As long as she's coachable. Gina Carano is a very humble person from what I've seen in interviews and from what people have said about working with her in other interviews. I think Ewan McGregor had something to say regarding that as well. So it'll be really cool to see if she is, because when she's on WWE, she's really bold, really brash, doesn't give a rip about the other person, and very loud. And that's as one in the WWE is to be. But again, it's a persona. So whether or not that's actually her remains to be seen. But we'll see how she works with Jon Favreau and what her role is. So I'm excited. What do you guys think she's going to be playing? Oh yeah, you say Disney changes canon all the time. That's true. Disney changed canon. Well, actually, they don't change canon all the time. I don't think that's actually technically correct, unless by change you mean add. Because, well, I guess it's true. With the Rise of Skywalker, you're absolutely right. With The Last Jedi, I feel like it added stuff, but it added stuff that sucked. So The Last Jedi added stuff that really sucked, and The Rise of Skywalker did add stuff that it did take away from the originals, but it also countered stuff that happened in 7. So to me, I'm just like, I'm going to push 6, 7, and I'm sorry, 7, 8, and 9 into Legends in my head. And from now on, I'm just going to recognize, like the Old Republic, which has been canonized, 1, 2, 3, Clone Wars, Rebels, Solo. I can canonize Solo. I'm fine with that. Rogue One, which was fantastic. I think everybody loves Rogue One. And yeah, 4, 5, and 6. And Mando. That's it. That's everything except for the sequel trilogy, pretty much, if I'm not mistaken. And I think Star Wars Resistance, I'm still working on that. I've gotten like 6 episodes in. I'm enjoying it. I really do think it's fun. It's not nearly as legit as the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars is the top. Rebels is freaking great as well. So like Rebels feels like you skipped 5 seasons of the Clone Wars until the timeline pushed beyond the prequels into the territory that Rebels exists, which I think it's like 14 years after episode 3. So Kanan Jarrus was a Padawan during Order 66, and then 14 years after that, now he's with Hera, flying around in the Spectre and then the Ghost, so pretty cool stuff. Yeah, I'm excited, guys. I actually do think I've got hope. I've got hope here. I've got nothing but hope and faith in Dave Filoni. Nothing but hope and faith in Jon Favreau. I really, really love them working together. I freaking love the Clone Wars. I love Rebels. I love Mando. All three of those are solid, take it to the bank gold for Star Wars fans. And I trust them. So if they say Gina Carano is going to be one of the main characters in Mandalorian Season 1, I say, I trust you. Let's just see where this goes. I believe that you know the kind of role you're casting for, Jon Favreau, because you pretty much always have. You've hit the nail on the head so many times. You can't even see the head. It's flush with the rest of the metal you've been hammering. So, in the case of Sasha Banks, the niece of Snoop Doggy Dogg, I think this is going to be a very good thing. I think this is going to wind up resulting in some really sick action that we would not have gotten otherwise. I'm really, really pumped for this. So let me know what you guys have to say about Sasha Banks down below. So let me go ahead and read the last comment from Dusty. And he says, what about introducing Sasha as Mara Jade? Fans have been wanting her in Star Wars. Be the right time let me see if I can copy this, because sometimes it cuts out on the corner. In the timeline, yeah. So, yeah, I do think that would be really cool. If she's introduced as Mara Jade, though, that would be... Actually, yeah, that'd be really cool. I would hope that we could get to see Luke, if that's the case. Because if we're seeing Mara Jade, I want to see Luke. And I want to see Sebastian Stan play Luke as a young adult, like, right up against the age of 40. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see him in his late 30s, possibly 40, and then Mara Jade comes on the scene and we get something in that direction. Maybe because they've already canonized the fact that he's not with Mara, either she eventually, not in season 2, but eventually would have to either pass away, or maybe they do play out the storyline where she is the hand of the Emperor. You know, like, maybe they do that whole thing. That would be pretty cool. They kind of already messed up their potential version of her, though, like with what they did with Luke. So it won't end the same way that it did in Legends, but they might be able to give her some sort of appearance and allow her to be part of the modern canon in a special way that maybe just doesn't flourish to the degree that it does with Luke. Maybe they tease that. That'd be fun. So again, unless they just come out right and say, you know what, guys, we're going to make the sequel trilogy Legends, and yeah, we're just going to forget that ever happened and try again. That would be really epic. That'd be like, what was it? That'd be like Paramount listening to the fans on Sonic the Hedgehog yet again. So crazy, crazy stuff. I'm excited. Let me know what you guys have to say about this. We've been talking about it for a really long time. I'm going to go ahead and cut it short, but I want to hear from you in the comments. Share this with a nerd you love. Share this with a WWE fan, and let's talk about it. I want to hear your comments, and I'm always reading those, and I'm always talking with you guys. Let me just say a few things in closing so that I can let you know what's coming up as well. First of all, guys, I wanted to say thank you for everyone who's been buying my t-shirts, my mugs, sweaters, hoodies, stickers, pins, magnets, pillows, all of the things that I sell on my TeePublic, including this shirt here, the Stuff of Legend shirt, which is, this one's a double-sided, and I also have a single-sided as well if you want to pay a little bit less for that. It gives me the chance to get better lighting, which I'm actually using right now. I have double lighting from what I used to have, and it really helps out my green screen. I just discovered I'm having almost no issues with the green screen anymore. So that's really, really helpful. Just out of the gate. And I really appreciate you guys giving back to me and my channel and my family in that way. So thank you for that. If you guys do want to get merch for yourself, I've got a ton of designs up as well. So if you wouldn't mind me showing you guys those. I have a lot of like Boyka Batman, the new Matt Reeves Batman logos, Batman like Hall of Fame stuff, Harley Quinn, Sci-Fi Fan. I've got a bunch of my Homeboys merch as well. You guys know Nerdy Blurb TV. If you click here, it'll take you to his website. I share this because I want you guys to know that there's other great YouTubers out there as well making killer content for fans like you and me. Check out his YouTube channel as well, and a lot of the homeboys out here that are doing great work, including AJ Reacts 2, another good buddy of mine. But then tons of my own designs, like these, Epic, Fancast, all these. I've got tons of Star Wars designs, so if you like someone's specific lightsaber, I went to the trouble of making these for you guys. Took me a long time, but you know, I've got lots of these. So different blasters: Han Solo, Rey, Captain Phasma, Boba Fett, Han Solo, Leia Organa, Mace Windu's lightsaber. So you can check out all these for yourself. The link is in the description below. Go look there, and maybe you'll find something you like, and you can support my channel by getting yourself something cool. That means a lot to me. So thank you. That's a financial way to support me, but the free way, as per usual, is simple. Like, share, comment, subscribe. You do those 4 things, and you're going to help me hit 500 subscribers. That's going to be really cool. So thank you. Appreciate it. Let's go ahead and cut to the end screen. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this video, be sure to like it, share, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you can be alerted right away when I go live next time. That way you won't miss a single thing. Anyways, share it with a nerd you love, and I'll see you guys next time right here on The Stuff of Legend. Hey guys, D-Lo here. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And remember to share this video with all of your nerd friends. I know you got them, and you know who they are. Leave a comment below and let me know what you thought about this discussion. Let me know what you would like to see me do a video on next. Subscribe to the channel because you're a legend, and we have that in common. Also be sure to turn on notifications to be notified right away when I upload my next video, or so that you can be alerted when I go live next time. That way you'll never miss a thing. Check out the other videos on the channel so that we can have a discussion on all your favorite movies and TV topics. Thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for more right here on The Stuff of Legend.